Hello, welcome to the midweek message for this week. We are midway through Lent, as you know, and we are reading our fabulous book, Good Enough, which good enough is good, but 40-ish devotionals for a life of imperfection is the part that I find so redemptive in that title. So this week I'm going to discuss chapter 23 with you. Several people have written and reflected how powerful they felt and how they were really struck by this chapter, as was I. So I'm going to read it and we'll discuss it a little, and then hopefully it'll give you something good to take into the rest of your week. So, chapter 23 is called Being Honest About Disappointment. Today might be the kind of day when you are feeling it most, the loneliness that comes with suffering. That's because it is yours alone. No one else can see with your eyes or feel what you feel. I remember a moment when I was about to be wheeled into surgery, and for some reason, I could suddenly remember every line of a poem by Ella Wheeler Wilcox that I had memorized in the 5th grade. The poem loudly declares that in times of pleasure and plenty, we are surrounded by others. But when we must go through suffering, we must all file on through the narrow aisles of pain. I said the words very loudly and very formally, as poetry demands, and a nurse paused to look at me with great concern. But isn't that the right thought? When the suffering comes, your loss or grief or illness or disappointment forces you down a solitary path. And if you are like me, that's when prayer sometimes adds to the loneliness. Where is God when you pray and ask for help, but it doesn't come? Why doesn't God answer? How can I believe in a God who doesn't seem to see me or hear me? Illness, grief, or any kind of suffering in this world feels like it doesn't belong in a world made by a good God. It is just wrong and painful, and frankly, sometimes just infuriating. I find myself praying, God, the world really seems like a terrible character reference for you. I love that. That's a great line. I know people say you are good, but I don't see much evidence today. Acute suffering cries out for an answer. Boy, is that relevant at this point in the life of our world and the life of our society. We need the pain to stop right now. Our urgent call longs to be met by a strong, wise, and loving answer. We want healing and answers and strength in order to go on. But so often we hear nothing at all. Instead of rushing to defend God or dissect the great mystery of the problem of evil, I have found it to be wonderfully freeing. And here's the crux of it, to begin with the truth. As my best friend likes to remind me on awful days, you feel hurt because it's painful. You feel sad because it's tragic. You feel angry because it's unfair. You are okay to feel what you feel. We need freedom to acknowledge the brutality of life without minimizing or pretending or justifying. We need not rush to defend God or to delude ourselves. It is terrible.